the Attorney General's office. I'm an Associate Attorney General there. With me today is Colonel Christopher J. Wagner, the Director of New Hampshire State Police, and Supervisory Special Agent Phil Cristiano from the FBI. Today, a team of investigators from the New Hampshire State Police and the FBI searched a home in Woodsville, New Hampshire. They were looking for evidence connected to the missing persons case of Maura Murray. I can tell you that no evidence was found in connection with that case. I'll explain to you why we searched that home and what brought us there. So, in February of 2004, Maura Murray went missing. She was reportedly last seen at about 7:30 p.m. After a single car accident on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. She has not been seen or heard from since then. Over the years she went missing, there is done in that area and the surrounding area by a variety of different means. And a home was actually searched in that area, the home that was searched today, right around the time after Maura went missing. That home was searched on the outside. Dogs went by there, searchers went by there, and found absolutely nothing connected with Maura's case. Over the last several months, that home has become the target of increased speculation by a variety of private citizens. Some private citizens stated that they believed that there was a body, in fact, in that home, in the basement. And really that theory was based on a variety of different pieces of evidence, including a search that was done by a couple of dogs that belonged to private citizens, and a search that was done with something called ground penetrating radar. The Attorney General's office and the state police reviewed the video from those dog searches as well as the results from the ground penetrating radar. And based on that review, we determined that there was no credible evidence that there was any evidence connected to this case in that home, and certainly no evidence of human remains. And there was certainly no probable cause to do any search in that home. Despite that, we did contact the homeowners, and they graciously gave us consent to search that home. So in March, state police and the FBI returned to that home, did a further survey of the basement of that home, and then today, a team of FBI agents and state police detectives went into the home and actually searched that basement. And they did that by actually cutting and removing the concrete in the area where the ground penetrating radar had detected a disturbance. And I want to be clear, what the ground penetrating radar had found was not an object or any particular piece of evidence. It had simply detected an area of disturbed ground. And so what happened today is that a team of over a dozen agents and detectives went into that basement, they cut that area, removed the concrete, and then searched several feet down and covered the entire area and beyond where that disturbed ground had been. And they located absolutely nothing other than a small piece of what looks to be potentially pottery or maybe a piece of old piping. And that's all that they found. So I want to be clear, we certainly did not believe that there was any credible evidence in this case that led us to believe there was evidence connected to Ms. Murray's disappearance. But the state police and the FBI in our office did go down and conduct that search today. And we continue to work a great deal on this case cooperatively between the Attorney General's office, the state police, and the FBI and other individuals. We also want to extend our appreciation to the family that lives in that home. They were gracious enough to allow us and the FBI and the state police in there and conduct that search. And the last thing I want to say before I take questions is that this has obviously been difficult on the Murray family, their friends and family. It's also been difficult on the residents that live in that area. Many of these people have asked that their privacy be respected. Sometimes people come onto their property and just search around, and they've simply asked us to pass on that they would appreciate their privacy being respected. And at this point, we'll take any questions that you have.
So what is the next step then? Maura, you're saying conclusively Maura is not in that house?
Based on our search, we do not believe that to be the case, that there's any evidence connected to her disappearance in that home. What's going to happen is what's been happening, which is our office and the state police and our other law enforcement partners are continuing to follow up on leads that are generated from the public and other sources, as well as just simply additional investigatory measures that we generate on our own. And that has been continuing and will continue.
So is there a belief or conclusion if Maura was the victim of foul play?
Well, this has been a criminal investigation from the start. We simply don't know what happened, but we're keeping our options open, and that's why law enforcement is involved.
Jeff, would you say this was done for investigatory reasons or for the benefit of the family and to satisfy some unanswered questions from them?
It was really done just simply to cross something off the list. I can tell you that, based on our review, and we try to be as methodical as possible, which is why it took some time and why we went through various steps, which included search, state police human remain dogs going in, a review of the ground penetrating radar results. There certainly wasn't probable cause or really any credible information that led us to believe there was anything there. But despite that, we went the additional steps and did that search today. So we're confident there's nothing there at this point.
Jeff, what is the message to the Murray family?
The message is the same, which is that everybody involved remains committed to following every lead that's out there to try to get answers to what happened to Moore.
What do you want to say to the public in terms of, if they know anything or if they've seen anything suspicious?
Yeah, no, we've asked the public all along for their assistance. We've heard from members of the public. Every case is different. Some cases generate more interest and activity. This case has generated a tremendous amount of interest and activity. Some of it you would call maybe wild speculation, but regardless, the state police and our law enforcement partners have continued to follow up on every single lead in this case and will continue to do so. And we encourage people, to contact us with information. Sometimes people think, well, maybe the police already know that. We encourage people, they can contact us, they can go through the Cold Case website and provide information if they choose to do so that way.
Jeff, this was the second time that location was searched, and was this search you did today, was that based on the results of the ground penetrating radar or something else?
It was based on the many allegations that were made that somehow that there might be evidence in this house. If you looked at the ground penetrating radar, you would not conclude that there was anything of evidentiary value there, or from the prior dog searches, or from the FBI searches. The state police searches. But regardless, we did go in and excavate that area with the ground penetrating radar detected disturbed ground. And that's not uncommon where you might dig a foundation in a home, and that's an older home.
You said that police used dogs after she had disappeared outside the home.
Right.
Did you guys ever enter the home after
No.
she passed away?
No.
And why is that?
Because there was no basis to do so, and we would have needed probable cause to conduct a search of that home at that time.
So the first time that was searched with dogs would have been, last November?
Right when the private citizens went through. That's
And
correct.
when you did your preliminary search before today, did you bring in dogs as well, or?
Yeah, that was searched in February by a team of 2 state police human remains dogs, and there were no detections at that point.
2004?
This year.
This year?
This year,
February
yep.
this year?
February of this year, yep, the state
Two of
police
your
dogs.
No.
Nothing.
That was
But
inside?
you
Yes.
mentioned earlier, so I'm sorry, I'm confused. Soon after her disappearance, there was an outside.
There was, yep, there were multiple searches in that area
Jeff, I
outside.
have a question. Do you have any suspects or any other leads that you can follow up on?
We don't name suspects in our case.
No, I know, but do you have anything else that you can look into as far as hot leads or anything like that after this is not heard?
Well, as I said earlier, there's a lot of information we do continue to follow up on. Some of that's generated from leads from the public. Some of it's just simply generated internally, whether it's re-reviewing information, looking at different forensic work, or simply deciding to go back and review other information. And that's been a constant process in this case.
So it's an ongoing cold case?
It is. In some cases, there are periods of dormancy and then periods of activity. This case has been very active over the last year or so.
So where is the last, you hear a lot of information over the years, so where's the last indication of where Murray was, whether it's a dog scent or an actual sighting?
Well, it's the sighting at the accident scene. That's the last credible sighting at the accident scene.
Did the dogs
That's about
lead-
7:30 p.m.
Did the dogs lead any kind of trail away from the car back in 2004?
I don't recall. I don't recall at this point.
Will you be producing any sort of report or feedback that will be provided to the GPR surveyor and the Murray family detailing methodology and results?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Will there be any sort of report or feedback to the GPR?
Well, we have spoken to the...
Okay, the Massachusetts college student disappeared back in 2004 while driving through New Hampshire. We've lost our signal up there in North Haverhill. Today, investigators are still on the site in that community. Just to bring you up to date here, just a little bit if we can right now. The developments are that there are no developments, really. Everything stands pretty much where it is. They did penetrate basement at the home in Woodsville looking for possible human remains. They apparently excavated a concrete area in the basement and found nothing.
And that was Senior Assistant AG Jeff Strelzin giving us the update, saying also that a private investigative team, including a dog and that ground penetrating radar, was brought in, and that is when that team reported to authorities that it did hit on something in that basement beneath the concrete, some potentially disturbed earth. And so with respect to that, even finding no evidence within that report itself, FBI and state police investigators did return to that home in Woodsville, New Hampshire, and did investigate further. Again, going through the cement, looking around, and reporting today that they have recovered no new evidence in the disappearance of then 21-year-old Maura Murray.
Now, Strelzin did indicate that when they excavated a concrete area in the basement, they did find a single old type of a pipe or perhaps a piece of pottery, but nothing of any significance, the type of thing you might find when you excavate in a basement, and nothing. So basically, we're back to where we started in this case, more questions than answers. The disappearance of Maura Murray remains a mystery, and we'll continue to bring you up with all the latest developments as we move into our newscast later this afternoon.
We'll see you again soon at 5.